Everybody, we both hope you're doing fantastically well. My name is Conor McGilligan. That is Gabe the American. Forget his second name. That's his tagline. That's on his passport, Gabe the American. We're back here discussing.
That's why I didn't get into the country. That's why I didn't get into the UK.
Yeah, that's why you were denied. We're back here discussing everything Leeds United on a very different day. We couldn't do Sunday because I had been through the rigmarole a little bit. I'd been through a bit of a battering, so we had to call it off. And this was kind
Just
of
say you had a concussion.
Had a concussion.
Weird way to work around that.
All right, I had a concussion.
I've gone through the rigmarole. I got a bit of a battering. People are going to think you're being abused by your missus or something like that.
It's abuse on the
You
football
got a concussion from football. That's what happened.
Yes, so we're back here. Gabe, thank the Lord, has got a week off, which is great for the channel because it means we can do this on a Wednesday at 7 p.m. GMT. Gabe, anyway, how you doing, man? All good?
I'm glad that you're happy I'm here with a week off. I was meant to be in the UK right now. So
you were? Yeah,
actually,
you were.
Today would have been my flight out.
Dude, I don't know if anybody, like, obviously you mentioned it on your Twitter, but maybe you need to put a little disclaimer on here as to what actually happened.
I don't want to get into it because we get people's hot take political opinions, which we want to sort of avoid. But as of January, if you're traveling to the UK, you have to file for it's essentially a digital pass. It's the formalization of what you normally enjoy with a passport. And they usually give you instant approval. I did not get instant approval. And on the day of my flight, they denied me. So I thought it must have been an error. And it turned out it was a mistake. It was just a mistake. But it took them 2 days to sort because I'm 8 hours behind. So I missed my flight. It was a non-exchangeable, redeemable flight because that reason is not covered under flight insurance. And so subsequently, I lost about, how much money did I lose on this trip? Probably about 2,500 pounds on the trip in total from reservations. I was able to recoup about a third of what I invested in total. But the train tickets I booked outside the window, couldn't get them exchanged. The hotels I booked, I was able to get a refund on 2 Airbnbs because I was meant to go to Lincoln, Bristol, Cardiff, and Leeds.
But yeah, we were supposed to. I had to replace his presence on Friday. I did actually end up going to the Moot Hall, which was the plan, and met a lot of really good Leeds fans in there.
Did you? Oh, that's really good. I'm glad people came.
Yeah.
They didn't tell us they were coming, so we sort of just
met Tavis, who was from Montreal, who'd come over from the game. Met the Dubai Whites as well. They were all over there in force, and also met a gentleman. I believe he was called Dust. Incredible memory. I don't know how I've done this, but his son was called Ollie King, who watches us all the time, and Dustin also watches us all the time. His dad, and he came in specifically to meet me and Gabe, and there was loads of others in there as well. So
I'm so glad you went because honestly, I am gutted that I couldn't go. Aside from the money loss, it wasn't just the Leeds trip. I had a bunch of stuff on with loads of friends, and it's been not a fun time. And it's cloudy in California for the first time in like 8
just when
months.
You've got a week off.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we'll bring England to you. It's like it's just yeah. So I've been not happy. And then on top of that, Leeds United results haven't been the best. They haven't been the worst, but they haven't been the best. And then Bay FC has fallen off a cliff. So yeah, it's been great.
Here to cheer you up, mate. Here to cheer you up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look. Sebastian VD Steenhoven says, "Good evening." Sounds very Dutch, mate. That is the first.
Are you related to Jan Vennegar of Hesselink? Because it's an amazing name.
It's definitely Sebastian van der Steenhoven as well. Fantastic stuff. Liam Ludlow says, "My favorite show on YouTube." Thanks, mate. Mish is here as well. First time catching a live. Hi, Connor and Gabe. How are you? All good. Yes, boys. Says MW. Sorry to hear that, Gabe. You're getting the sympathy as well here. Evening, guys. Hi, Tom, and everybody in the building. Right. Okay, JC, look at this. You're getting all the sympathy now. Sorry to hear that, Gabe. Brutal stuff. There you go.
By the way, Connor at no point was like, "Oh, mate, that's horrible." Connor was like, "Oh, I've got 130 quid that I can't get back now.
I was like, yeah.
That was his response, everybody. So
I wasn't happy. I was like, Gabe, this is.
Yeah, you thought of yourself first instead of the thousands of quid I lost.
I did. I did indeed. So Rihanna came down anyway and enjoyed herself in Leeds. So yeah, woke up with a very, very heavy head and did that watch along on Saturday, which was enjoyable to an extent, but it's just that severe pounding in the back of my head wasn't great. My fault, self-induced. Anyway, right. So quickly touch on Bournemouth. I want to hear your thoughts. Everybody will want to hear your thoughts as well, mate. We're not going to touch on it too much because we've done it to death. But I'm going to give you the floor because everybody's bored of hearing my thoughts on Bournemouth.
It feels bad because we, drop points from a winning position. But the reality is that's like a really good team. That we were able to play a style of football that I thought really put us in the best position to win. You never want to see concessions at the end of a match. It feels like a gut punch, and it was. But I'm proud of the guys. I thought they fought. We were never going to dominate Bournemouth. We were never going to do that. They're too good of a team. And their midfield, as you saw, is incredibly physical. I mean, I thought that they gave Anton Stack all he could handle. They were really trying to get into him and bother him. You could tell.
What do you think on Adams?
I mean, Adams does what we liked him doing for us, right? I mean, that's the kind of player he is. And
I thought he handled it. I thought he handled it well.
Yeah, and Baron Cross wrote an article about it that he relishes that kind of, that's the kind of player he is. That's why you like him when he's a Leeds player. It's why you hate him when he's not. I thought, for me, Longstaff was the standout player. The chances he generated, his work on set pieces, I thought was really good as well. Obviously, you could say it was a lucky finish, but it doesn't matter. It's in the back of the net. And I thought that his experience, especially, like, he wasn't allowing Bournemouth to bully him. And I think that's, as much as I do rate Stack as a great midfielder for us, and I think he's going to be an exceptional player at the club, there is a learning curve in the Premier League, and there are different types of matches and different environments you're in. And even in a home match, it can be made difficult for you. So I think we're seeing a team that I think is starting to coalesce a little bit around an identity, and I like that. We can nitpick here and there about certain things, but the reality is I thought it was a good performance overall, lacking in a couple areas. It would have been really nice for 3 points. That would have been an awesome month. We didn't get the 3 points, so fair. But yeah, I'm reasonably pleased with the performance level.
Yeah, I mean, I think the pretty cool thing about it was you've seen Leeds turn around results recently in the Premier League, which has been really nice. Obviously, going one down against Wolves away, you're thinking, oh, God, the writing's on the wall here. Could there be a second or a third like we've seen in the Premier League before? And Leeds have collapsed a little bit, and it was really nice to see us get back into it, get a first, not only a first, second, then third very quickly as well. And it seemed to happen with Bournemouth as well. We just seemed to get really strong, I felt, after they scored. And we started to, and let's be honest, Dominic Calvert-Lewin should have had probably 2 or 3 at that point. He went through inside 20 seconds and probably should have scored. Well, definitely should have scored. And when you looked at the XG after the match, Gabe, it was quite astonishing, really. Leeds battering them on the XG. And when you look at kind of Bournemouth and how fluid they are and how technical they are, it's a really good point. But, in the game, yeah.
If you take away those early chances, though, the XG picture is not quite as lopsided. And,
well, yeah, obviously, yeah.
I mean, but it just, for the whole of the 90 minutes, it was like, if you just look at the statistic, you'd be like, oh, well, Leeds must have dominated. We didn't dominate that match. We dominated the early chances, and it was unfortunate that we didn't score. That being said, I mean, we've seen Bournemouth do really well from losing positions as well. So, like, who's to say what would have happened? I think some players really stood out for me. Gudmundsson, I don't know what else to say about him.
Yeah.
I mean, that one goal, we were able to. It was the Longstaff goal, wasn't it? Where it was just his endeavor and not giving up on a play. He's so strong and tenacious on the ball, and he's good defensively. He'll make smart decisions. He has recovery pace. I mean, look, every left back is going to get beaten in this league, every single one, because of how good the wingers are. But I really have been impressed with him. There seems to be no learning curve for him for the Premier League, and that has been. Like, I knew he was a good player. I rated him, but the level difference between any left back we've had in the last 10 years and him so far is pretty profound. And I'm including Junior in that group because I liked Junior in the championship, not on Gudmundsson's level.
Yeah, I agree. I completely. I think it's a really good point. I think positionally, I think we're all maybe a little bit nervous about Firpo coming up to the Premier League. Different manager, but I still think he'd have got drawn out a little bit. I think Gudmundsson makes
It's not as physical. He get bullied in ways that Gudmundsson doesn't.
Yeah, I just think he reads the play a lot better.
Yeah.
When to go forward, when not to go forward sounds really simple, but I think notoriously with Firpo, and it would be to our benefit, it would always just be get forward. That is priority number one. I think sometimes it would catch him out a little bit, and it definitely would have in the Premier League. I don't think it's probably quite right to touch on Gudmundsson a little bit as well, Gabe. So I don't think I've done it that much, but I don't really think I don't think there's been any real 1v1 duels that he's lost so far, and we've played a lot of very decent teams so far. So he's been a real top acquisition for 10 million quid. And probably you look at the recruitment, Gabe, and thinking to yourself, it's good that you've recruited from these top 5 leagues as well, because obviously he was playing for Lille, very big club in France, who were involved in European competition as well very recently. So it's probably a good acclimatization for him. But what we do have to say as well is the Premier League is on a completely different level to Liga, and so he's really had to adapt, and he's done it very quickly.
What's impressed me the most is his control in tight spaces, and when he has a winger and a fullback pressing on him, he's still managed to play consistently out of those 2-man traps. That is hard to do in the Premier League. These guys are all athletic, they're all strong, they're all quick, and his center of gravity and like the center of his strength is really low. So he's just harder to dispossess. He's harder to push around, and he has displayed a lot of. People won't care about this. I do as a former center half. I've seen him play the ball out of bounds a couple times just for a safe play, and I'm like, oh, I like that from a defender.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I think both wing backs. Is it right to say? I think both of them have just been fantastic so far. I think this whole notion and narrative that Bogle wasn't going to be able to acclimatise. Sheffield United had seen it all before. Wait until you get up to the Premier League. He's brilliant in the Championship, but wait till he gets there.
He's done really well.
There is enough of a sample size right now, in my opinion, Gabe, that you just mentioned tight space. I think that's a really important comment, because I think in the Premier League, the press, and it's not just one player. When you are pressed, it's 2 or 3 of them, as we saw against Bournemouth, being able to get out of that. He's so important, and I just think as well, once again, his duels as well, for someone who apparently can't defend. They've been the shining lights really in a lot of the central midfield. We've had a lot on Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Noah Okafor, but maybe there's been a little bit of a lack of focus on the wing backs for Leeds United.
Yeah, I think they've been excellent. I like that you're calling them wing backs. They're not.
Well, I think traditionally, if you were to play, let's say, in a back 3, I see Gudmundsson and they're not.
They could play in a back.
They're not playing in a back 3, but I think with how good they are going forward, I think it's a little bit redundant to just call them fullbacks. I think they're very, very good at going forward.
I'm not going to get into a rhetoric debate with you. I promise. I promise. Don't do it, Gabe. Okay, we're okay. I had to grab my brain and prevent it from running away. No, you're 100% right. I mean, these guys are, and they're going to be matches. I just want to remind everybody, we're in the Premier League. It's the best league in the world with the best attacking players in the world. And there are going to be games where it could be Bogle, it could be Gudmundsson. They're going to be turned inside out. It's going to happen. But what you look at is the majority of the duels they engage in, the majority of the decisions they make. Are they doing the right things? Are they playing out of areas that are kind of Premier League patent? Like, this is something that you see, like a pincher from a fullback and a winger or a midfielder coming in to pressure the fullback because they're supposed to be bad on the ball compared to the other players and try to dispossess the fullback in their own area. Are they retaining that possession? Most of the time it's yes. And they're doing, I think the only difference between the two of them right now is I do think Gudmundsson's a little bit stronger and less easily pushed off the ball. And then that final product, the type of ball he drills into the area, Gudmundsson seems to like to hit it low and hard. And I love that as a player, because the likelihood, even if it doesn't get to the first or second man, the likelihood of it bouncing off a defender and going into a dangerous area is higher than if you hook a higher cross. That could be an instruction. It's a very like small thing to draw a distinction between the two of them. But I would rate, in terms of performance this season, both of them very highly. Gudmundsson slightly higher.
Yeah, it's a good point in terms of the balls into the box as well, because you do normally see Bogle, don't you? And there's a bit of a floater into the box.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, you do get Gabby, who seem, and it's not a disparaging comment on Bogle at all, because I think Bogle's better at going forward. There's probably an argument that Gudmundsson, if we're being, really pernickety, is a better defensive player than what Bogle is. And I guess that's the difference between them both. But they've been.
But it doesn't discredit Bogle's defending. He's done well too defensively.
Well.
I mean, again, he's not a shutdown fullback. Those don't really exist in the Premier League anymore. But he's like a 60% attacking, 40% defensive, maybe 75-25. But the 25 I'm seeing is good. It's good. So I've been pleased with him. Good
stuff. Let's get into a couple of comments. Roscoe and the little man says the Bogle narrative is daft. That Sheffield United team is shocking. He has better players around him right now. Sheza says, evening, Conor, been following you since the All These TV days. Congrats on 50k, mate. Thank you so much.
That's
nice. JC says, minus DCL, our wing backs have been our best attacking outlets this season. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. Evening, guys, says KPA Property Management. Thanks for the information on traveling to the UK. Gabe, you're being called Gabby there. Sorry, Gabby. Sorry for the you and
Gabe
you.
Gudmundsson. That's what I prefer.
Gabby the American. Sorry for the trouble you had, lad. And then Richard says Spurs were not good that night. Think we'll get plenty of chances. And Paul says, yeah, guys, make sure you slap a like, because me and Gabe have spoken about this before, but the algorithm right now with YouTube is just not doing us any favors. So all of your likes mean the world. So please do that. It really helps the channel. Where do we go now? Where do you want to pivot? We can talk about the midfield composition. We can talk about Daniel Farke's job so far. We can talk about maybe Dominic Calvert-Lewin and predicted lineups for the weekend. Where should we go?
Why don't we talk about Tottenham?
Okay.
And let's get back to the midfield. So last week we disagreed. I wanted to stick with Longstaff and with Ampadu and Stock. You wanted to bring in Tanaka. This week, we're playing another team that is going to be better in possession. Tottenham is a very good team. I don't care what they showed recently. In the Premier League, they've scored, I think, 9 goals and have conceded 4.
Very good away from home as well.
Yep. This is not the same Tottenham. I think this is a Thomas Frank Tottenham. They're deeper. Their players seem to be firing on more cylinders than usual. They have a lot of options to throw at us. I think this is a match where, again, you want Stock, you want Ampadu, and you want Longstaff, because I think we need to be combative. I think we need to push them around more. And I think Longstaff, it's harsh on Tanaka because he's a very good player. But I think that this is one of those matches where, like, the minute we play Bournemouth, Tanaka in, get him in. The minute we play some of these other sides as well, like the West Hams, get Tanaka in. But the teams that can outpossess us a little bit and also have a physical presence in the midfield, which they do, I think you need to have a guy who's been in these games before. This is going to be a tough one. And I don't want to... Tanaka has a little bit of rust on him. It takes a while to reacclimate to playing in a Daniel Farke system if you've been out with injury. Ampadu seems to do it really well, but we've seen this before with midfielders where they're a little bit rusty. I think it's a bad game to risk rust. We'd do really well to get a draw against Tottenham. And I think that we're most situated to do that, most positioned to do that with Longstaff, Stock, and Ampadu in the midfield.
You're probably going to be quite surprised at this. I'm not going to bat back there. I think this is a game of which, when I was looking at Bournemouth initially, I thought, because Nonto was out and because we knew that Bogle was fit, but he was moving gingerly in the week, so it was very much like, is he going to be back? Is he not going to be back? Is he going to be fully fit? I was thinking to myself, Leeds at some stage need to get hold of the ball, because if we're just continuously giving the ball back to a pressy, dynamic side, they're going to break us. They're going to get us out of. And I've spoke about this before, Gabe, but Pascal Strauch's annoying me a little bit at this moment in time in terms of him just being dragged out of that centre back position by a forward consistently. It's happened again at the weekend with Evan Nielsen. Really,
this is a complaint I've had about him for a while now, and I really hope he I've seen great things from him so far this season, but he just does that. You're right. He gets dragged out easily, or sometimes where a team will have numbers, he
wanders, doesn't he? He wanders.
He'll charge up as well, and the whole point with center halves is, especially when you have numbers, is you want to stay tight with your second center half partner, and then in that final move, you can either step out and commit, or you can stick back and make sure that you're working with your keeper to close down the lanes. It's something that he does when he's under duress sometimes that it drives me a little bit crazy. I hope he does it less. I don't want to be overreactive because, again, these are good opponents. You're going to get. You're not going to be perfect.
But it's an interesting point there as well. But it's control, isn't it? And so the control of the game, I look at Bournemouth, and I think Iriola said it afterwards. Leeds were very, very physical. He mentioned a couple of our players as well, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Longstaff. I think he said Stack as well. And he mentioned that, and he was very, very complimentary of Leeds. But I think it was two styles meeting each other, which almost went together, and it was like one had one. It was like a boxing match. It was like it just split on a point basically, and Leeds were able to play at the top of their game. Bournemouth weren't at the top of their game, but guess what? Everton haven't been at the top of their game. Newcastle haven't. Bournemouth haven't. There must be a common denominator. Oh yeah, it's Leeds United making them not play to their best. So I think that's a compliment to us. The whole point is, I think when you look at Tottenham with like Polina in there, Bentancur in there.
Bentancur, they're both 6'2", Connor. They're both big guys. They're both two-way midfielders.
Polina was rested last night as well. These are big physical players, so it's very different to maybe. And look, hear me out here. Obviously, that there was Christie in the midfield for Bournemouth. If I recall, there was Tyler Adams, who obviously is a bit of a destroyer, but not probably the most tall player. Going up against someone like Longstaff and Stack, it's a physical game. And then
do you see how he was trying to get under Stack's skin as well? Just like knocking him around and stuff like that. I was like, I know we're supposed to hate it now, but like, I do sort of miss that a little bit.
But they brought on obviously Alex Scott, who's a little bit more of your, the glider of the ball. Tavernier's okay physically. The whole point is, you look at Spurs, it's going to be a much more physical game. So back to your original question, I don't know if you can put Tanaka in for this one, and I have to say this. I think there's context around that, what happened with Tanaka. I think there is a lot of context and what happened. And I think it's quite unfair how he's getting a lot of flack for it, if I'm honest with you.
He shouldn't get a lot of flack. Look, he picked up a knock. He's probably not 100%. He went into a match that was a difficult match against one of the best teams in the league, and he didn't look great. But that's okay. It doesn't mean suddenly all the other times we've seen him look great don't matter.
Exactly.
It just means that he's going to need to. I think he's probably going to need a little bit more time to recover. And there are going to be some matches. We said this before the season started. There are going to be some matches where he's going to be ideally suited to play in a 4-3-3 against XYZ team.
I think it's
against Bentancur, like probably not. I don't think that's a great idea. Even their number 10 is 6'2".
Is it Bergvall?
Bergvall. I mean, they have three guys who are big physical.
Well, as well,
players.
If Archie came off the bench as well, Archie's not a small lad either. I think Archie's 6'1" as well. So it's going to be a physical. So long way round. I would stick with the same. I've been very impressed with Longstaff. Very, very, and I've
always said there's more about him than just like running around. Like people tried to act like all he would do was just run around. You don't get to a top 5 midfield by just running around.
No, and
you have to have more about you.
I fall into that. I think out of Newcastle's midfield, I say it was probably maybe a weaker option than Joe Willock. I think the three that start.
Sure.
I think he's a weaker option than the fourth, which is the reserve option, which was Joe Willock. So I would say Longstaff is the fifth. However, he was playing Champions League football against PSG not long ago and scoring against PSG not long ago.
Who in our midfield gets into Newcastle's midfield right now?
Yeah, exactly. And I think but it's a real conversation. It's a real positive, the fact that we have. I think Tanaka could fit in. I think obviously you've got Longstaff, who feels quite undroppable at the minute. I think probably 2 out of the last 3 games he's been our best player. I think probably the most vulnerable one, I don't think he'll ever come out, but I think the most vulnerable one at the minute is probably Anton Stack.
It's probably a good idea to give him some rotation. You don't want to run him into the ground, and this is a much more physical league. So I would not be opposed. I think this is a bad match to do it because, again, you just have a lot of size in there. I think you need to keep him in here for that. But there are other matches where I wouldn't mind seeing Tanaka, Longstaff, and Ampadu.
I think Spurs could be vulnerable though. I think this. Obviously, the last night when they were playing Bodo Glimt, they didn't look great. And I know they had players on the bench. They had Kudus on the bench, Polina on the bench, Romero wasn't playing. So that Romero is massive as well in terms of playing out from the back. He's their best defender, in my opinion, at playing out from the back, even over Van der Ven. But I think when Wolves went there, Wolves were by far the better team last week. They should have got that victory. I cannot believe they got back into it, Spurs, but they did, and that's the quality that they have. Yeah, I'm with you. I think any result here is a top result for Leeds United. They've got a lot of options. You know, I'm not sure if Xavi Simons played. He might have done, but I'm pretty sure he didn't. And I'm sure the chat will let me know. But it's going to be a tough game. But I've got a sneaky feeling about this one. I was more worried about, me and you had this chat, and I don't know if you were surprised by me saying it at the time, but I was way more worried about Bournemouth than I am Spurs. And that could come to bite me on the arse, and it probably will.
Yeah, we did disagree on that because I thought Bournemouth was a team that we matched up well against in some areas. I don't think we match up well against Tottenham. I think that Jed Spence is going to want to come out and make a point. We'll see how that goes. He'll be matched up against Gudmundsson and Okafor. So we'll see how that goes. It's a big test for Okafor, right? Because I think he's played well. I've been more on his side than not. I think he's still adjusting to the physicality of the Premier League. We have a couple of guys who are just adjusting to that physicality. I think that when I look at Gudmundsson, he's been really the only guy who I think is just taken to it like a duck to water. Everybody else, there are going to be growing pains.
I think we initially thought Stack, didn't we? But I think Stack's dipped a little bit over the past.
I think, but his level is consistently good enough where I'm not worried. It's not like he hasn't done the thing that I hate to dig out your buddy, but he didn't do the thing like Mark Rocca did where he had like a couple decent performances and then all of a sudden it's shocking.
We need like a rock. We need like a Rocker klaxon. I'll just bang it every time he's brought up.
Yeah, no kidding. He started out sensationally and then he's been pretty good since. Yeah. Although then again, we're forgetting about his set piece goal, which was just sensational. So I mean, he's contributed more than he's left questions. Let's put it that way. He's still been a very net positive for me and an upgrade on our midfielders in the past. But I mean, it hasn't been so easy, and it's clear that teams are starting to key in on him. I'm going to bring it up again. The assignment for Tyler Adams was clearly get under this guy's skin and bother him, like give him a welcome to the Premier League tackle a couple times, and that was obviously. And you could see after with the afters, right? Ampadu came in and was just sort of like,
here we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, JC in the Great Plague has said, met Tottenham last 3 games, scraped 2 draws because of opposition own goals against an inconsistent Brighton and Bodo Glimt, and scraping a draw against bottom of the league Wolves. Nick said, evening chaps watching live from Ibiza. We have the Elland Road faithful Leeds United win. It does feel like with what Terry said there, and I know it's something that we can't measure. I guess you can measure it in terms of points, and this is the championship as well, including this. But Leeds haven't lost now in 23 games at Elland Road. And I think that is a very important statistic because I don't think there's been any. I mean, when you're looking at Everton, Newcastle, and Bournemouth at Elland Road, with the greatest of respect, we're not playing Wolves, West Ham, and Burnley at home. We're playing some really top teams there, and I don't think we've been bested in any of them. So Elland Road, Gabe, it does feel. I know it's not something we can measure quantitatively or anything like that, but it's a really important facet for Leeds United going forward this season. It feels.
It is. I want to just remind people though that this Tottenham team has beat the brakes off teams that are very good as well. So. Look, this is the Premier League. Anybody can, to an extent, anybody on their day could probably beat most other teams. So I want to get away from like, the last 2 games they played this teams and they didn't do that well. So ergo, we're gonna be able to beat them. It's totally different. Game plans are different. This is the hardest division in the world for a reason. I don't like the matchup. I'll be honest. I don't like the matchup. I think we do very well to get a draw. That said, if Elland Road is absolutely, and I imagine it will be, this is one of the reasons I'm so gutted I wasn't in the UK, but that atmosphere for those players at Tottenham who haven't experienced it, it's definitely the 12th man, right? So I'm not saying we don't have a chance to get a result, and I've been
Bodo Glimt were very good as well, I thought. I thought Bodo Glimt were very good. They're a very decent side.
Yeah. I mean, but also they didn't face a top Tottenham side, did they? You know, they faced like, you know, it's not quite the reserves, but Tottenham didn't roll out their best team. So I don't know. I'm not gonna overread it into recent results or whatever. I think Tottenham's a better team on paper. I think they've got a really good manager. I think the matchups aren't great for us, but then again, we have a couple of unknowns ourselves. Like, we don't quite know which DCL we're gonna get. I've been really pleased with how he's looked off the ball. At some point, he's gonna have to start burying some of these chances for us to have a chance. But I've been pretty pleased with what I've seen from him. He's giving us stuff as a forward that I don't think we've had in a while. I think Okafor has game-changing attributes about him. We've seen some of them. We need to see more consistency and the resiliency to be able to play more for longer periods of time.
Thought he was good at the weekend. Thought he was better at the weekend.
Yeah, me too. I think he's been difficult every match he's played. Difficult to handle. Still have questions about the right side, but Aaronson's the guy we have right now, so we should just, hope he does well. And he's strung together a couple decent performances. The frustrations remain, but if he can at least maintain this level, I'm not going to be displeased with seeing him on the field. Let's put it that way.
As long as Bogle is on that overlap, consistently providing actual quality, I'm okay.
Yeah. And funny enough, Aronson has generated some chances here and there. It's I don't want
It's the volume. It's the volume of.
But it's also the inconsistency. Like, sometimes you're like,
that's
oh
what I
my
mean.
God, look at that close control, and oh my God, like look at that move, and oh my Lord. And then other times I'll be like, what are you doing?
Just passes the ball back to Bournemouth. It's like, God.
Yeah, exactly. So it is what it is. But I think Farka's actually right. Farka said, what's the point of just continuing to hammer a player? Like, he said something like that about Irons, and basically told the fan base to go easier because it's getting ridiculous now. And I agree. So I'm not going to sit here and just pile on him. He's been fine. He hasn't been at fault for any of our losses. You know what I mean? So it's not like we can point. In the meantime, Carl Darlow. Do you stick with Carl Darlow?
Yeah. He annoyed me at the weekend. He really annoyed me at the weekend. And this is what I mean with the whole Tanaka thing. Tanaka was cold. He came on. I thought he should have come on a little bit earlier, but he came on, was cold, got caught, thought he had more time on the ball. His fault. There was more people at fault here, and Darlow was one of them. When he was kicking the ball back to Bournemouth in the 87th to the 92nd minute consistently, I was nearly blowing. My head was.
This
nearly
is goalkeeper play, though, Connor. You know this. Like, this is most goalkeepers in this division do this.
Yeah, but I mean, for a man of nearly 35 years of age, fall on the ball, take time. If you need to take a card, you take a card, but just don't. And if your kicking's been great. I've been giving you so many plaudits for your kicking.
His what?
His passing, his long passing, his long passing out from the back.
So many people were seriously.
Oh, they were annoyed.
To teach me why it's called. It was.
Yeah, they were annoyed.
They're like, so you see, it's called a goal kick. I'm like, yeah.
Not a goal pass.
I was like, it's not, but it doesn't always play it from a dead ball situation. Anyway, it was a funny thing to get.
But I just think it was. There's a lot going on. There was a lot going on with that set piece. Ampadu keeping them all on, him bringing Mecha on. And then them scoring literally from Mecha coming on. Not saying it's his fault, but that whole substitution didn't really work. But yeah, so overall point, would I start Carl Darlow? Yeah, I'd keep him in. What would you do? Would you bring Perri in for this one? I think it's.
I would.
I'd rather the international break. I'd rather have the international break.
I would go into the international break and make sure that everyone's healthy. I still think we need to see more from Perri, but I'm confident with Darlow between the sticks. I think what I want to see is a tactical switch. Is if we somehow manage to go a goal up or two. Not two. We're not going to go 2 goals up. But if we go, if it's in the 70th or 80th minute, and I'll say 80th minute, and we're carrying a lead, even if we're carrying a draw, I want to see an attacking player come off, Beal come in and switch to a back 3.
I think that's good. I think that is the most. But I mean, it's a positive and it's a negative because it should have been the change. I think. I mean, you've got you've got a player.
It doesn't have to be pretty. Like
no, you've got a player in
we can ugly win.
Most clearances in Europe last season.
Mm.
It's one of those where that is such a weapon, especially if you're winning.
If Pascal keeps doing these kind of weird things, though, that's. I'm not calling for it now. And they have looked. Our defenses looked pretty good. Let's be honest. Our defenses looked pretty good, with the exception of the Arsenal match.
It's just set pieces. I think in open play we've looked really good. We've been really compact. The framework, the structure's been great. It's just stupid from set pieces.
It's just focus at the end as well.
Yeah,
focus at the end.
Yeah.
And so,
but you do have to. I do think the context applied as well. Like you can't take a lot of the. You can't take it away from the opposition who were coming up against.
No.
Who are bringing 5 substitutes.
That's going to be the case every week, though.
This is what
the
I mean.
Opposition is always going to be good.
But they bring 5.
We're not in the championship anymore, where we're playing Preston and they're bringing, like.
But at some point, and I know you have to defend it. I get it. I know you have to defend against it. But I was saying this to Brownie last night. I was like, at some point, it just is incredibly hard at some stage. You've got to do the basics, but when you're bringing on 5 players of which are dragging you out, they're putting brilliant balls into the area. The movement's exceptional. I'm not giving them an excuse, but they're going to have to acclimatize a lot quicker to these things because, you've got to control set pieces. You can't keep doing this. But look, we know teams are getting more physical.
That's sort of why I think you switch to essentially like a shit kicker team in the last 5 to 10 minutes of a match. If you're up, like you play ugly. But I know Elland Road doesn't like that. They want to see us, move out and break. But realistically, if we're going to stay up, we have to be able to hold on to a lead.
Have we got a new set piece taken out?
Longstaff.
Thought it looked pretty good on them.
Yeah, he did. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
As long as I'm not seeing like stock play corner kicks anymore. I mean,
God.
Yeah, it's like. Do you know who Victor Wembanyama is?
No.
He's an NBA player that's like a 7'6" guard.
Right.
Well, he's not really a guard, but anyway, it's like putting him out on the perimeter to defend instead of in the interior. It just doesn't make any sense. Like
basketball chat, if you're here for it, guys. Ahmed says, hey guys, watching from Saudi Arabia. Hello, Ahmed. How's it going? Jared says, Okafor has been improving game by game. Jimmy says, was Darlow's decision to keep kicking to the opposition distinctly championship? It did feel like it, mate. Richard says, is Darlow...
hang on. I love the framing. His decision to kick to the opposition. Darlow wasn't like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to kick it to Bournemouth now.
I thought it was a bit fatigued even from the goalkeeper, but it is Darlow's place to lose, says Rich. Josh says, any news on Nonto, fellas? Be great to see him back in the squad. It would be fantastic to see him back in the squad. Hopefully, it sounded his language, I thought, Farker last week when he was talking about Nonto, he seemed a little bit more long term. Seemed a little bit more long term. So I'm not sure. Josh has also followed that up with, I'd pick Nonto over Aronson every single day. Go on. Where are you going with that, Gabe? What's your opinion?
Nowhere. I haven't seen anything from Nonto in this season to make me think that he's going to perform better than Aronson. But
Josh, I completely agree with you. Every day of the week and twice on a Sunday. But we all know that.
We're at 3 seasons now of people telling me how great Willie Nonto is, and me still waiting to see it. So,
okay, yeah. Do you think he's a better footballer than Brendan Aronson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Talent doesn't matter. Talent doesn't matter sometimes. Sometimes it's about endeavor. And I mean, what if you
were struggling then?
No, I'm not. No, it's hard to verbalize, but like it's hard to verbalize, but I don't see it, guys. I just don't. I see.
Because you have such high expectations. Because you got such high expectations.
No, it's not even that. It's the levels I actually see from Nonto are very similar to the levels we're seeing from Aronson. So, and Aronson does more defensively, which is what Farka wants. So I'm not sure. Yeah. Look at the defensive statistics, Connor. It's not even close. It's not even close.
In terms of what, just interceptions and blocks and all that sort of stuff.
Interceptions, blocks, duels won. Like in just engaging in the duels. Nonto doesn't even engage in them most of the time. So,
okay, we'll take in taking just stats out of it for a second on the eye test, would you not rather see Bogle and like Nonto in tight space if we've been pressured? And do you not?
I
think
have to be
Nonto
honest about
is
this
a little bit more
whole
productive?
thing. We saw Bogle and Nonto in the championship, and the whole time I was getting reasons. No, in the championship last year, whole time
preseason as well.
We did, but I don't care about preseason. We actually saw it in real games, and that whole time you told me, and Oscar told me at various points, that he's better on the left or in the 10. He's not a right winger. So because it wasn't impressive there, we've seen it. So because it looked good a couple times in the preseason doesn't mean it's going to be great now. Listen, you know what I would love? I would love for Willie Gnonto to shut me up and play great and fulfill some of the promise and potential we see in flashes. But to be honest, I don't see it. I see an inconsistent performer who puts in half the defensive effort sometimes. And that's not going to fly in this team. So if he wants to get on the pitch, he has more ability than Aronson. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. He has to do what the manager's asking him to do to get that spot. And when he gets his opportunities, I don't want to see almost. I don't want to see looking at the sky and smiling. I don't want to see shorts tugging. And I don't want to see more negative passes because he does the same thing. He plays the ball back a lot. So I just think the hype that we give this guy is unjustified. But because he had a purple patch of 3-4 matches under Jesse Marsch, but now we think he's a world beater. We haven't seen it, guys.
We got better. Well, he got better numbers last season than Brendan Aronson did, and Brendan Aronson played more games. Not by a lot. Still did.
Not by a lot.
Still did.
Yeah, but it's not by a lot.
Well, you've just said the better player is Willie Gnonto. Why do you not start your best players?
Because you have to play the way the manager wants you to play. You cannot play in a Daniel Farkas. So look at Okafor. Okafor's done a great job of engaging in duels and getting mixed up defensively, right? He had, I think, was it second match? He and Brendan Aronson had number 1 and 2 in terms of duels in that match. You're being asked to play two ways. This is not an argument about who I think is a better player. It's, does Willie Gnonto give you what his potential promises? No. He has to.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Because their levels are the same right now, Connor.
The levels are the same right now, based on what?
Their output is relatively the same.
Based on what?
On when Willie started out the season, where Brendan's playing right now.
Effectiveness in the final third for the rest of the season, you'd rather have Brendan Aronson out there than Willie Gnonto.
You tell me that Willie Gnonto has justified putting him into the starting lineup based on his production. You really think so?
Has Brendan Aronson? It's worth the guy.
I think Brendan Aronson does more two ways than Willie Gnonto does. 2
ways. One way.
Yeah.
What's the second way going forward over Willie Gnonto?
Who do you think has created more chances?
Gnonto.
No, you're wrong. It's Brendan Aronson this season.
This season? Well, yeah, he's had more minutes.
Okay. So what point are you making?
My point is...
The only point you're saying is that you think Willie Gnonto's better and he should play. It doesn't matter.
No, you said Willie Gnonto's better.
No, we both think he's a better player talent-wise. But in terms of what he actually puts out on the field, do you actually think that Willie Gnonto has justified his instant inclusion that you think? I think he needs to be pushed. I think he needs to have a guy who's less talented and who tries harder and gives you more on the defensive end, getting his spot, a spot that he should deserve, Willie Gnonto. I think he needs to see that over and over and over again and say, okay, in order for me to get this spot and to keep this spot, I have to show up and play every week with a consistent level. Because one thing I'll say about Brendan, even though now I'm in this position where it sounds like I'm defending Brendan Aronson. I don't even rate him. I didn't want him to play in the team this season, but I would rather have a guy that I know I'm going to get a consistent level from, even if that level is sometimes disappointing in an effort on both sides of the ball, than Willie Gnonto, where sometimes I don't even know that he's playing. What do you mean? The rhetoric around
it's
it.
That's what you're bothered about. That's what you're more bothered about, the rhetoric. You've said this all along. You're more bothered about what people give him in terms of hype. It's not about the actual player.
You're like, he's the most talented player. Based on what?
He's more talented than Brendan Aronson, so therefore he should be starting ahead of Brendan Aronson.
So you think the most talented player should always play?
I think you are being reductionist when it comes to saying that he doesn't do anything off the ball. I think his off the ball work is very good.
It's not very good.
I think he's better.
That supports that.
What do you mean it doesn't support that?
There's no data on that supports that. The off the ball. You define what you mean by off the ball. Are you talking about movement or defensive effort?
Willie Gnonto, in terms of working hard last season, in terms of working hard in preseason, we were saying it on these shows that he was really good as a winger, as a good defensive winger. in the preseason. We were saying it on these
Who
shows.
said he's a good defensive winger? No one said he's a good defensive winger.
I see now, I think to justify your point, you're trying to say that Willy Gnonto just isn't effective at being a defensive winger. So you don't think he gets back,
I think he
works
decides
hard.
not to be correct. I think he decides to dial it in.
Where's this come from? What?
Because here's what I've heard for 3 seasons. I've heard
about
how
there
great
we go.
this guy
there
is.
we go. 3 seasons. You're talking about potential, trajectory. You're not talking about the here and now. Who's the best footballer?
Did you not think? But you just said you wouldn't always play the best footballer.
No, I didn't.
You just said that. You would always play the best football.
In the Premier League, I'd rather play the best footballer than
Connor. You cannot have guys feeling entitled to spots.
Where is Aronson giving you what's Aronson giving you over Willy Gnonto? If you say you can't just say endeavour, you got to give me more than that.
Last couple of matches, I thought. Okay, so wait. First of all, when we look at Aronson, what does he actually produce this season? What does he actually produce?
Don't know.
I mean, I think his performances, just if you look at his rating, 6.8, 6.7, 6.8, 7.3, like he's done fine. He's done fine. Do I think he's the permanent solution? No. Do I think that Willy Gnonto needs to have a time sitting out where he realizes that less talented guys are playing because they're playing a more complete game and they're doing what the manager wants them to do? Yeah. Because I don't think that he has justified the confidence that people have in him because I don't see the production. I don't see the end product, and I don't see the endeavor. So what's the point of having potential if I don't see exercise on the field?
What is potential?
Do you honestly think you've seen him exercise on the pitch?
What's potential for you then? What's potential? Because
potential is, so Aronson's hit his ceiling. We know what Aronson's ceiling is.
Right.
It's like a decent winger performance week in, week out. The peak is not going to be great, but the valley isn't going to be super, super low either. With Gnonto, I keep hearing about this ceiling, and I haven't seen anything really beyond his numbers compared to Aronson last year. He should have crushed him. It should have been not even close. The numbers are relatively close if you just add up all goal contributions, the goals and assists. Why are they even in the same category? Why are we even having this? If he's that much more talented, the only other element to this is endeavor and consistency, and I don't think he shows it. I don't. It drives me crazy. So I would rather the more talented guy feel like he has to work harder to justify his position and to get into that spot and to force his way in than to just be told the whole time, hey, you're so talented. We're going to play you because you're so talented. It doesn't matter. Everyone's talented.
I think there's a lot of context as well. I think there's a lot of potential that our wingers and a lot of players in our team haven't got to yet. You know, I think you could speak on maybe Ramsey. You could even speak on Brendan Aronson in that conversation. Bought for 30 million.
I think we know his ceiling. I think he was overvalued.
Yeah,
right?
But overvalued. You know, for RB, he was supposed to be this big player. Liverpool and Klopp are apparently looking at him. So I don't know how far back we go here. Like that Aronson has a potential, a trajectory level of which it's very much like is it just based on age? Is that all it is? Because
I think we've seen the best from Aronson. I think we know what Brendan Aronson at his best is. He's a pest off the ball, and he'll when he's playing really well, he'll make quick decisions and he'll generate some chances. Willy Gnonto at his best should be scoring goals. Willy Gnonto at his best should be running at players. Connor, he hasn't done it. We had this conversation in the offseason that has he lost a step from injuries? He doesn't run at players anymore. What's that about? I just don't see it. I don't see. When he gets into the match, I want to see him take over a match. Otherwise, why would I play him over a guy? If he's going to give me an equal level to performance to Aronson, why is he the automatic starter?
It's not comparable now. We've said multiple times is our best forward line Willy Gnonto, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Noah Okafor in terms of talent. I think you've got to see those three as a front three consistently to then make a judgment. It's a completely different composition up front. And I think that is a better way of looking at it. I think if let's say if Willy Gnonto has a time in the team over Brendan Aronson, who, like you've quite rightly said, shouldn't really be starting for Leeds in the Premier League. And as we've agreed, if you get those three consistently playing with each other and then there's a high performance, I think that's what I'm kind of looking for now. And that's kind of why, if Gnonto was available, I'd want to see him in ahead of Brendan Aronson.
I mean, listen, you're probably right. I think I get frustrated with high ceiling talent players who I just see regularly, consistently look ordinary. And I just feel like we keep waiting for Gnonto to go off, and we've been waiting for 3 years. He had 2 seasons in the Championship. This is his second stint in the Premier League. Have you seen anything this season? I mean, look, when he was playing, it's not his fault by himself. But the matches that he played, I mean, we were asking where are the goals going to come from, right? He didn't look like a difference maker. Now, of course, it's early in the season, got hurt. But we were asking for weeks where the goal's going to come from. Now we start scoring goals, and now there's this clamor to see Willy Gnonto back in the team. I don't get it. Like I don't understand. Everyone's talented. Some of the most talented players I've ever played with have been the worst workers. I don't know that he's the worst worker. I'm not saying that. But there's something that's when we look at the championship stats, Connor, over 2 years in the championship, why wasn't Willy Gnonto elite? Why?
Because he was a child.
He should be killing guys.
Why? At 18.
Because
why?
if he's that talented,
we were saying that at 18.
He should be killing guys.
We brought him in January from the Swiss league. No one was saying that he was going to kill guys. Nobody expected him to be the best player.
He killed guys in the Premier League for like 3-4 matches.
That was supposed to be Somerville. That was supposed to be Somerville. And Gnonto,
but we're talking about what Gnonto showed us and what he actually did.
Right, so he's suffering for that then. He's suffering for what he showed you in the Premier League of him being outperforming quite essentially Somerville.
No, he's suffering for, you're telling me he's exponentially more talented than Brendan Anderson, right? And I agree.
100%.
Okay, then why didn't we see that in the championship against inferior competition? Why are their numbers comparable? Why? If he's that much better, it should show, right?
I don't think he was starting most games, but he was brought on for a lot of games as well, wasn't he? But he got, what, 16, 17 goal contributions? Is that right? 16, 17? That's not too bad, is it? In 43 games.
Over the 2 seasons. Yeah, right. Right. But do you truly not see that there's something not clicking here with a guy?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're feeling that I'm telling you all the time, every time we pick up the phone and talk to each other, I'm saying Willy Gnonto is by far and out the best player in this Leeds United side. I'd say when I was saying that last season, I was talking about Ramazani more than Willy Gnonto. So I was probably gassing him up a little bit more. Did we see that much from Ramazani? Probably not. But I was saying to you that there is a player there.
What we did over that, and this is one of the data points that you argued with Ramazani, and I argued with you, is that like the goals per 90 minutes were top at the team, right? So there were indicators that when he had an opportunity, he was absolutely crushing it. With Gnonto, I've seen levels that are comparable, slightly better, but comparable to Brendan Aronson. So I'm not going to buy this argument that as soon as Willy Gnonto is healthy, then you start him in every single match because he's earned it, because he hasn't earned it. And if a guy who is that much more talented should not be even in the conversation statistically with Brendan Aronson, you should be outpacing him every single time. Chances created, players taken on, and he's not doing that. Right. So for me, there's a question as to why. Something with the application is not there. What I'm not going to get into is this whole, I want to make clear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that he's lazy, that he's a troubled character. I'm not saying any of that stuff. From all accounts, he's a really friendly kid, but something competitively isn't there. And I'm not just going to give him a carte blanche to start every single match if I don't see a clear story for actual play, not potential, but actual play being a step up from the guy in the position. And yes, as a result, that sometimes means we're going to have either Jack Harrison or Brendan Aronson playing, because at least I'm going to have a standard level of play, even if that is very unimpressive, because I haven't been impressed by Willy Gnonto for 3 years. Neither of you.
I've not been impressed with Brendan Aronson for 5. So that's kind of why I'm going for Willy at a younger age.
Fair. I mean, fair. And listen, this is not an argument that Brendan Aronson should be our guy. This is why I wanted to buy a right winger. This is why I would have loved Harry Wilson, because he'd be playing in that position and we wouldn't be having this conversation at all. The question is, would you want Willy Gnonto in the team over Harry Wilson?
Why is that the question?
Because this will tell me where your head is actually at. Because it seems to me that no matter what Gnonto actually does or doesn't do on the field, you're convinced of his talent level and you want to see him playing.
It depends, well, you kind of framing it in a way of which is there's actual real, in my opinion, output competition there. Now, I can't profess to know. You're speaking a lot as well about defensive attribution. I can't profess to know. That's only important because we're playing in a Daniel Farke system. There are other systems I would probably say, hey, it's whatever the manager wants. But it's obvious that Farke rates Brendan for
what he's given on the other side of the ball.
We might watch Harry Wilson and think, do you know what, that defensive application isn't there, and then that might frame an argument, and he might not be effectively putting out the output for it.
Yeah, but the scoring application is so much better than I think. I don't 100% know. I'd imagine it is.
I zoned in a point a second ago, and you kind of agreed with it, I think, and it is the front three of Okafor, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Willy Gnonto is effectively more exciting than Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Noah Okafor, and Brendan Aronson. And I didn't directly make that statement, but I said initially that the former three were the ones that I wanted to see, because I think there's a real quality there between the three, and I think there's an understanding from the fan base, in my opinion, or there was an understanding beforehand, that I think that's the best that Leeds can put on the field, and I think that could really work together. I'm really struggling to make a proper judgment on Willy Gnonto this season when I've not seen him. I've seen Willy Gnonto.
You're right.
I've seen Willy Gnonto with Joel Peru next to him up front in a game of which he can't impact whatsoever because we can't hold the ball up. What's the point? There's literally no point. You know, I've seen him with Metra up top, you know? So, and I'm not saying there's no disparaging comment on Metra, but it's not really a cohesive front three. It feels like now Okafor's in there all the time. DCL's in there all the time. I guess that's that third conversation, or that third point is who is going to be that right-sided player.
Yeah, no, it's a valid point. And again, we're not getting stuck in about the merits of Brendan Aronson as this like great player for us. It's not even about that. But when I think about what I can't escape is how we continue to move the bar for Willy Gnonto in order to continue to say how great he is. Like, again, in the championship, it was, well, he's not a right winger. He should be on the left. And then put him on the left. Well, he should be in number 10. Well, there's always, did you see that there's this moving target for him to be effective? It reminds me of the conversations people would have about Joffrey. They're not the same player, but like, and say, well, you know, we just have to build the team around him. I'm like, what? Like, so
should we move on? Because people are getting a bit a bit naggy here. Robbie D says, congrats on 50k. My family's split Leeds and Liverpool. Cheers, Robbie. No smoke blowing intended, but your content and collabs, there we go, Gabe, are far superior to anything in the Liverpool space. Richly deserved match on go. Thank you, Robbie. Maybe you can make us big in the Liverpool space, mate, for our second channel as well. Big Stack Meal, great name. Issue I see with Willy is when he came to the club, he was agile and very quick. I may sound harsh, but I feel he's lost it since bulking up his frame.
I sort of agree. And part of the whole appeal to his game is his ability to run right past people, and he's not done it in a while. So
isn't it quite ironic as well, because that's what you want Brendan Aronson to have instead of falling over. That's kind of what you want. Just phase your bulking plan over to Brendan. But like, I think it's important to say, I think, you know, I don't think Brendan Aronson's been bad this season. I wanted to say this. I don't think he's been bad. I think he's just not my. I also said it. I think he's better out wide than he is centrally, 100%. So yeah. I don't mind that whatsoever.
I never want to see him play centrally again.
No, there's a little bit of a decoy as well for Bogle on the overlap. I know it's not going to be popular because I think Aronson, strangely, is a more popular character than Gnonto anyway. That's how.
Really?
Yeah. I feel he is. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, I feel he is. Have to agree with Gabe. Gnonto's been disappointing, to be honest, and I'm a big fan of his. Rutter had potential, but tore up the championships as boy in the bandana. And then Arthur says, "Gabe, you're losing the plot over Gnonto." So I think it's that's the comment section.
No, it truly is. It's a polarizing thing, and I've made it. Maybe I can't see it straight because he just frustrates me as a player. If I were the manager, I'd like to see him.
I think I need to see Gnonto with more minutes in the Premier League, and I need to see him in that front three. That's that. And look, if we make a judgment on him after 5 games after that, and he's been pathetic and he's not putting in the right performances, outputs poor, his defensive work is not good enough, and he's getting dragged every game after 40 or 60 minutes, then fair enough. I just don't think there's enough of the samples. I don't think he's completed 90 minutes yet. So
the real question for you is, would you think if Dan James were healthy, does he come right back in on the right side? See, I actually think Aronson's been better than Dan James.
Yeah, I wouldn't put Dan in. I think Dan's been really, not really poor, but I think he doesn't look fit. He doesn't look fit. He doesn't look fit at all, I don't think. I don't think he's looked fit towards the back end of last season as well. So, right, quick finish on Spurs, mate. So we'll get a quick score prediction from you for that one.
Ooh. I'm gonna go with a. Wow, this is tough to predict. It's like what I want versus what I think is realistic. Oh, let's just say 2-2.
Oh, that'd be a good result. Yeah,
That would be an amazing result. It's probably going to be like 2-1, 2-0. But like, I'm gonna optimistically throw this out into the ether.
Just do like 3 different results.
Yeah. Well, no. Realistically, I think we lose, but we are. Elland Road is tough, so I'll put my heart out there. 2-2.
2-2. Yeah, I'll go for a 1-1. Why not?
1-1.
Sorry,
you're gonna be raging on the watch along, watching a 1-1 game.
Oh no, I'll be delighted if it. Well, it depends on the context, doesn't it? If we're 1-0 up and then
listen. I've seen us winning games and you're raging the whole time.
What
are you doing? What is that?
Can I say it's not? Can I say it's not? It's not raging. It's crippling anxiety that somehow we're going to throw it away. So it's somehow me thinking virtually I can tell them. 2-0 says David Gray. 2-1 Leeds says Oliver Turner. 0-0 2-1 2-2. I think everyone's feeling it's tight. And then Boy in the Bandana caps it off and says, I'd take Rama over them all. Right, Ollie King. I think Ollie, is your dad Dustin? I think Ollie King has just come in towards the end here, and I met your dad, Ollie. I know he wanted me to give you a shout out, and he thought Gabe was going to be there as well. So shout out to Ollie and Dustin, who were there, and they met us in the moot as well. Guys,
blame the British government.
Yeah, blame them. Never blame the Americans. Make sure you like. They do everything so well. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Has nothing to do with immigration into your country. But yes, listen. If you want to hear me complain about the United States, I will. We can have a separate podcast for that.
Let's not. He's not.
It's constant. It's a constant stream. In fact, the worst part was Conor talking about the Ryder Cup to me as if I was going to be pro-American. The most obnoxious crowd I've ever heard was those Americans that. Oh my God, it's so embarrassing.
Shocking.
So embarrassing. It's shocking.
Absolutely shocking.
It's like Happy Gilmore crowd brought to life in the Ryder Cup. I don't even like golf. And I try to watch I'm like, I want Europe to win. This is horrible.
Yeah. It wasn't great, was it? It wasn't great. But yeah, we'll have a little bitch about the Ryder Cup off air. But guys, make sure you slap a like on the video. We will be back with the Room Mill tomorrow. We've got your press conference reaction as well. And we have got a little 5:30 show with Oscar Marriott on the Patreon if you fancy that as well, everybody. It's an absolute pleasure. And we'll see you on the other side.